Good afternoon, knit-alongers and fellow knitters. This is now week 4 of our Hello Spring knit-along, and it is featuring 2 gorgeous projects that the knitters had to choose from. And first project is the Sonoran shawl. So today I have another finished version. I've been showing you my shop sample version for the last couple of weeks, hot off the needles and blocked, and today one of our knit-alongers has brought in her finished version, also knit in Richard Debris' hand-painted yarn. Just as beautiful. It's so nice to see the different color combos that you're coming up with. I think that's inspiring all of us to get a new project on our needles. And over here I have the heater food cardigan, which is project number 2. It's also hot off the needles. It's been blocked. It looks so different from what I showed you last week, which was about 80% finished and not quite blocked. So I'm going to spin it around and show you what the back looks like as well, and then we're going to have our live grand prize draw happening in the next 10 minutes or so. Okay, I'm just finding the screen here. So the grand prize draw this month is for a basket full of goodies. It has a little bit of an Easter theme, a spring theme, and inside the basket we have some Muskoka Yarn Goddess yarn skeins. There are 2 skeins, 100 grams each, and we have some really colorful stitch stoppers that look like little Easter eggs. Stitch stoppers are used to put on the tips of your needles when you don't want your stitches to fall off. And we've got a couple of patterns in there and some other little knitting accessories at the bottom of the basket. So at the end of the video today we will draw from the draw ballot box, or I will draw. I'm the only one here today. And you might know that we were doing an incentive ballot each week. So anyone who signed up for a knit-along has 1 ballot automatically in the draw bucket. And then each week I would do a little trivia question at the end of the video, and we would pick a randomly chosen name, and that person would have an extra ballot in the draw bucket. So back to the 2 projects. First one is Sonoran shawl, which is inspired by the desert. The desert runs from Mexico all the way through the States up into a little chip of it in BC, Canada. And the designer wearing her version of the shawl. I'll put the pattern links down below so you can find all the details on Ravelry. So the shawl works out to a little bit longer than the original measurements in the pattern. The original measurements at 81 inches. After we blocked using our yarn choice, it came out to about 90 inches. So that's good to know. It's also 20 inches wide. It is a full rectangle shape, but it is knit on the bias, so you get the lovely point-to-point effect. And very stretchy and nice stable edges. 4 colors are used in the shawl pattern. We're using Pepino by Richard Debris, and it is 100% high twist merino superwash. No, actually no, this one is not superwash, it's just merino, and it is all pretty speckles. That's the theme we've been, or the palette we've been choosing our colors from. So the colors that are in the original shop sample, we do have it in kits. It'll be up in our online shop, I think by Monday. We've used, from the very beginning here, Twyla Bray. So that has pops of greens, pinks, reds, yellows on sort of a neutral tan or cream base. And then the second color in the mesh panel is Fizzy Pop, and Fizzy Pop is shades of purple and blue, and I think there's a little bit of a dark navy speckle added on top. And then shade number 3 is worked in the garter stitch sections here. It's very much like shade number 1, it's just a little paler, and that one's called Country Casual. So that has lots of pops of greens on a sage green cream base, coral red, and teal. And then color number 4, which is in the lace panel here, is called Indelibly, and that's a really nice spring bloom color. So those are the 4 colors that we've chosen in the shop sample in Pepino. If you're interested in the exact same colors, you know that we'll have them in the kit. And then the colors chosen in this one, in Richard's palette, we've got, instead of Indelibly, we've got Honey on the Go, which is a mustard gold with little pops of charcoal and terracotta. And then in place of our Fizzy Pop, I don't know the name of this one, but it is a variegated light teal aqua color. And in place of color number 4, we are using Parthenon, which is a real desert shade. And that has 3 or 4 shades of terracotta and little pops of charcoal. So really, when you're doing this sort of fade technique, I'll bring this shawl up a bit closer to the camera. When you're doing what we call the fade technique, that means you're working 2 colors and striping them to blend the colors together. So you can see how softly the colors change when they're striped. 2 rows of each in garter stitch, and then you'll transition into the second color for a bit, and then the second color transitions into the third color in the stripe fashion. So that way you don't get any heavy stripes that take away from the delicate lace work. It's all very subtle, almost like a watercolor painting. And for those of you who have asked me about the pattern level of difficulty, I've just conferred with our knit-alongers today, and it's really not that difficult. So if you are comfortable doing a yarn over and knit 2 together, an increase and a decrease, then you would be comfortable knitting this pattern. And then over on my left is this swingy little cardigan, which can be worn different ways. You can just leave the fronts to hang, what we call the waterfall style, or you can cross it over and put a little shawl pin on it. So it's closed, it gives you a little bit more coverage around the midsection and also a bit more warmth. It is shorter at the front, it hangs shorter just the way the design is. The sleeves are 3/4, they'll just go past the elbow, and the back is much longer than the front. And after blocking this, I would say it grew about 2 inches in the length. The lace work really opens up nicely. I'll bring this over to the camera to show you closer. And the best part is it's knit in one piece, so you just have an end to sew in at the beginning and the very end. So there is a detail of the front sections, which have the increases to create that waterfall effect. And the back. So the back from the underarm down is worked without any increases. It's just the 2 fronts that have the increased sections and magically create the A-line shaping. You've got built-in knit one, purl one ribbing at the front edges, which acts as a front border. And you have the option of making a buttonhole, just a simple yarn over buttonhole. And you could always put in one or two extra. I didn't put any buttonholes in because I knew I wasn't going to button it up. And then you've also got the built-in knit one, purl one ribbing, which creates a back neck border. And at the very bottom of the cardigan, you're finishing with about an inch of knit one, purl one ribbing before you cast off. The cast off sections are worked in a stretchy bind off, and the designer explains exactly how to do that, just so that there's more stretch around the back of the neck and also across the front sections where you need it. So this one was using 2 skeins of fingering weight, 100 grams, about 440 yards each. This was worked in the second size in the pattern. And we do have some other colors. We have one of our knit-alongers doing it in this colorway from Richard. This is called But It's True. It's a really gorgeous fuchsia shade. And then we have another knit-alonger, Nancy, doing her version of Pita Food in Indigo Bunting. That is a beautiful blue. They're both quite clear colors. And then we have somebody else who's chosen the gray tonal. So that will come out very much like this version. It's the same type of yarn. You'll get subtle striping throughout the pattern. And then we have an all-over variegated. This is the Alma Pure Merino. And I think we have 1 or 2 knitters using different colorways, so I will post pictures when they're finished. And this is another choice, Lilian Pine. That is also tonal, so you get very subtle striping. And then the hot pink at the end is the same as this yarn, the earth yarn, which will create the self-striping tonal effect. So that's your choices. I mean, there are lots of other fingerings you can use. These are just the ones that seem to be popular for the knit along. And now what I'll do, I'll just go over the 2 patterns because I have had some inquiries about how I would rate the pattern since I've knit both of them, for anyone who is thinking of maybe starting it for a late spring project. So Sonoran is an excellent pattern. It's written very well, very clearly. I mean, there's at least 10 pages of instructions, which tells you that the designers put a lot of effort into making it very comprehensive and answers any question you might have before you even ask it. So there are no mistakes in the pattern. There are some sections that I shortened in the garter stitch, and I've posted the details about that on our events page, or you can always send me a message and I'll send you the copy of my notes. And the reason we shortened those sections is just because the garter stitch was making it too long, and overall the shawl would be an extra 4 to 5 inches. And as you can see, it is already quite a large finished creation. And it also helps to save on the yardages of the yarn. So it is written in paragraph format, and there are also charts for the 2 lace sections. So if you prefer to follow the chart row by row, then you certainly have that option. I found that the chart was a little bit small, and I think most of us would want to enlarge it. So that is lace 2, which is the main lace pattern down here. But there are many lace knitters who only work from charts, so that would certainly suit you. And there is a schematic which gives you exactly the breakdown of the different sections. So you get sort of a visual of where you are I think as knitters, we always like to cast on and then instantly know everything that's going to happen in the pattern. So this is the schematic, just showing the shape of the shawl from tip to tip, and it describes lace 1, lace 2, lace 1, lace 2. So as you're going, you can sort of tick them off and know when you're halfway across the shawl or 3/4 across. So that is a very well written pattern. I give it 10 out of 10 rating. And then the second cardigan, the Heat of Food, well, the second pattern, Heat of Food, is written very well too. It's written a bit differently than the North American pattern standard, but she has very clear diagrams, and she does include some video links for the sections that you may need to look up on the computer and just watch an actual demonstration. So she also includes a very, very simple chart. This one is very clear, it's just the right size, easy to follow. And then she does have, I think it's a 5 or 6 page pattern, so it's not a really long pattern. But she does have very clear type directions, and some areas are underlined, some are in bold, so you sort of know what you really need to pay attention to. The schematic is a little bit odd looking for knitters. When you see it the first time, you have no idea what the cardigan should look like when it comes off the needle. But I think that's really the only way that she can explain the different shapes and the measurements. And the video links that she includes are for the crochet chain provisional cast on and the 3 needle bind off. So those are really the only 2 techniques that knitters might not be familiar with or need a refresher on. She also puts an excellent abbreviations glossary in here, and added pictures, so you get the back view, the front view, the side view, etc. So very, very well written pattern. I'd give it a 10 out of 10. It has been knit by so many knitters that it's well tested and there are no mistakes in the pattern. For sizing, the Heat of Food cardigan covers extra small to extra, extra large. I think she could probably add a few more sizes. The extra, extra large is for a 50 to 54 inch bust, so I think she could probably add a couple more sizes there. And then of course the shawl is just one size. So for anyone who is a little bit petite, they might find that they want to shorten the shawl length in the garter stitch sections. That doesn't interfere with the lace, so you could probably take out about 4 rows out of each garter stitch section, and then that would reduce the length quite a bit, so it's easier to wear and it's not hanging down to your knees. So this one here, I just thought I would show you a fun way to wear it if you feel that you're going to wear it more in the front, like a scarf instead of as a shawl. So I've just folded it in half, and I take the 2 tails and, nope, sorry, I take 1 tail. I'm going to take 1 tail, loop it through, and then I'm going to twist my loop and put the other tail through. So that's what we call a double loop shawl. And then you can just play around with the edges, tuck them in, so you don't get the raw edge look. And you can tighten it up closer to the neck or loosen it up so it hangs lower at the front. So that's a nice way to wear it if you want something that's not dangling in your way and you don't have to pin. Hi Sylvia. It's a very lively color, yes. Okay, so I think that's all the little details I can give you. The blocking was done 20 minutes soak in Eucalan or whatever wool wash you prefer. All natural, of course, no chemicals. Eucalan is made from eucalyptus oil, so it's all natural. And it was blocked on a table. Folding it in half will probably work the best for most of you because of the length. And no pinning was required, but you do have to, I didn't pin it, you do have to hand block across the scallop lace section, because that's the part that really wants to pull in. And the yarn being so stretchy and elastic, you can pull it while it's wet and it will stay when it's dry. And now that we have some nice weather upon us, we've got a really nice Sunday up to about 25 degrees here coming up. It will be fun to take your cardigan outside or your shawl and block it in the natural air, so it gets the circulation all around it. So that is how we block it. So now I think we're going to have to pick a winner, because that's what happens at the end of a knit along. So we'll get the prize over here and give the draw bucket a good shake. Sylvia, the pattern is called Sonoran. I'm going to put the links down below so you can see the pattern on Ravelry. Okay. Who will be our lucky winner this knit along? Oh, upside down. Okay, so the winner is Evelyn H. Congratulations, Evelyn. I think Evelyn won one of our incentive ballots in week 2, so she had an extra chance of winning, which really helped her out. So congratulations, Evelyn. The basket of goodies will be here for you. You're local, so I think you'll be coming to pick it up. And Evelyn is working on her Heat of Food cardigan in a really soft, dusty, pinky rose color. I'll be sure to get a picture of it when she's all finished, and then I can post it on Facebook and on our events page. So thanks everybody for knitting along with us for the month of April. I hope it brought some color and cheer into your days, and we'll be back with another knit along sometime this summer, so stay tuned for that. And I'll be back next Wednesday for the virtual yarn shopping weekly edition. Enjoy your weekend.